I grew up on a farm initially, and I watched my folks they would walk me through the woods. They'd point different things out and tell me what it was and share, hey, this is a tree, this is that kind of tree, this is what it does. And they'd share some pretty cool wisdom where I'd be like, oh my goodness, like you're saying that serves a purpose in this creation. And I had my mind blown as a kid from the things that my parents would share with me. I just felt like what a great platform through adventure, outdoors, environmental science for people to have their kind of boundaries expanded or to learn things about this world around them. And I realized that the calling on my life at that time was somehow to use God's creation to be able to teach young people about His goodness. I was really familiar with Huntington since I was a little kid. It didn't happen until a little bit later in my senior year. I was really struggling to try to figure out where to go for a college and a university. I had no idea where the Lord was leading. And I had tried a couple different universities and a couple different colleges. And during that summer, I really felt at peace as I sat with my grandma, my mom, and some other family members and talked through the decision to go to Huntington College.
I met Kevin in the fall of 1996. We both lived on the second floor of Wright Hall. And how our friendship developed was we were in a small group of guys that would meet every Sunday night about 10 p.m. And we would just go around the circle and we would talk about our relationship with Christ and how that was developing. I've watched him continue to move towards those who are overlooked, oftentimes marginalized and rejected by the church, but by society in general. Kevin wants to be with those that oftentimes don't have the same opportunities and same chances as we do.
When I started coming to the end of my senior year and still kind of unsure what I was doing, Dr. Friesen had said, what if you check out Noah's Ark Whitewater Rafting Company? So I had this calling on my life for missions, and I asked a new outdoor recreation. Probably wasn't going to cut it for the rest of my life in Indiana. And so I went out during the summers to work as a whitewater rafting, backpacking guide, and rock climbing guide with Noah's Ark Whitewater Rafting Company. And that again expanded my boundaries to understand, oh my goodness, I could use any platform in the outdoors to share my love of God and creation with them too. I walked into Dr. Friesen's office at one point. He's a big reason why I stayed a part of it. The other thing is he suggested, why don't you do the Urban Plunge up in Chicago? And so Urban Plunge in Chicago, you work with homeless folks in other parts of the city. And for a farm kid from just outside of Fort Wayne to go to Chicago and work right on the streets for part of a week, again, expanded my mind to understand a little bit more again about what missions work really looks like. I was whitewater rafting the summer after graduation. I ended up taking some inner city kids down on a raft during that season, and in that trip, during that 2.5 hour trip, two of the kids I ended up sharing the Lord with, and they accepted Christ, and we baptized them right there at the end of the trip, and it was awesome. I mean, I'm crying, they're crying. I realized again, it was kind of like light bulbs going off, that the platform of outdoor adventure with the students is an easy way for me to live my life and to share my relationship with Christ and have people get excited about it.
I got invited on this trip to go to Gunnison, Colorado, and it was like a 5-day overnight camping trip. And we went canoeing on the Gunnison River, and Kevin was our guide. Now he's at a different level, and he's overseeing more of the affiliates across the country and just working more in a CEO role. But it's still in some ways the same old Kevin. I could still call him a mentor. And not just a mentor, now I can call him a friend as well.
I started working for Colorado Uplift, and I realized that I could teach leadership and character development in a public school and build relationships with kids and do something that's needed for kids in this culture. They needed social emotional health, they needed well-being. And when we were talking about that, it was 20 years ago.
I met Kevin back in 2002 as a 6th grader at Kempner Middle School. From the day I met this gentleman, he's only wanted to give value and love, especially to youth who right now just doesn't experience family and community. Like if Kevin gave up 20 years ago, I wouldn't be here. And that's an honest statement. And I assure you, the world is that man's family. We always come first. And that's how the Lord calls him. And I've seen him show up day after day, regardless of personal or professional circumstances.
I met Kevin at a dinner following an event for Colorado Uplift that I had to speak at. He remembers details about people, and he pushes people on those details. And he keeps leaning in on the details, and he drives deeper into the why. And it's because he's trying to get you back to the mission of it, which for him is always Christ. And if it's not about Christ, then he has to reset you back into that thing, because that's your driving force. It's a relationship with Christ. And that's the thing Kevin is always pushing towards. And it's amazing to watch.
My first year as a teacher mentor in the classroom on the south side of Denver, like kids would just stop showing up and they'd drop out. Our graduation rate was 37%. Like how in this country at that time period could we ever been okay with that? And so I would start to drive to their houses. See, that's the benefit of being a teacher mentor. I could drive to the house, knock on the door, and be like, why aren't you coming?
Kevin has just been another cool person who I could probably talk to just to get some advice for life. And from that point on, Kevin has just been in my life a very, very like an immovable like object. Kevin has opened his home to me. Kevin has prayed for me. Kevin has given me spiritual advice. Kevin has been there for my family. His impact in the state of Colorado and the entire country basically has been felt in many, many states through Uplift, through his like spirit man, through his walk with God and how he loves people.
We started having affiliates or organization cities come to us and say, gosh, what if we had the Uplift model in another city? Could that help our city? And there's a few of us on staff at Uplift at the time that just love to talk about what we do. And we got to share and show these folks how to do the Uplift model, which I had a hard time not working directly with kids every day. That was a really hard shift for me. And the Lord really slowly has had to peel back what he really did call me to. And that's for people and communities to thrive, not just the student that I care so much about. And I thought, Kevin, you need to learn from every single person you come in contact with and listen and serve. I learned that from my upbringing. I learned that from Huntington. There was a lot of folks that I think for me, I need to apply Philippians 2, which is take on the attitude of Christ, which is to be a servant. In all of this, God has blessed me with a wonderful wife, 2 beautiful little boys. They all bring me great joy and allow me to keep on keeping on.